Oh my gosh, I'm already getting orange fluff everywhere. Hello, welcome or welcome back. I am so unbelievably excited today because it is Monday, September 29th, and in case you've been living under a rock, or maybe you're just not into the same music that I'm into, Taylor Swift is releasing an album on Friday, October 3rd. So that means it's release week, which is exciting for a number of reasons, not least of which because I now have an excuse to make a costume. If you don't know, this upcoming album is The Life of a Showgirl, and in addition to the standard album release, there's going to be a special release party in theaters where, from what I understand, she's going to be releasing the music video for her lead single. She's going to be showing the lyric videos for the entire album, and there's meant to be some behind the scenes clips of her talking about the album itself and inspiration for the album, all of that. I'm so excited about this theatrical event because I feel like it's a really fun way to build community among Swifties. I'm someone who doesn't have really any close friends who are super into Taylor Swift, and so I'm really excited to go and like have a listening party basically with a bunch of other people who are just as excited about the music as I am. And when I was at the fabric store the other day, I had a little nosy around and just happened to come across the perfect fabric to make a little something for this event. Like, are you kidding me? This is 2.5 yards of a very fluffy fringe orange fabric that in my mind is definitely giving Showgirl. When I first saw it, it made me think of the original 1989 set from the Eras tour, and someone on my TikTok also pointed out that it's very much giving the Karma jacket from the end of the Eras tour. So I had a big think about what I want to make with this fabric, and I think I've decided that I'm gonna go the mini skirt route. And my plan is actually to wear this Eras tour shirt up top and an orange mini skirt on the bottom, and I think that'll be the perfect kind of theater fit because I don't want to go too over the top, since at the end of the day I am going to be sitting in a theater seat. Hopefully it'll be just enough of a nod to this new era that we're entering, and just a fun excuse to make something crazy and out of the ordinary for me. Without further ado, we need to get started because there is not much time to put this together. So thankfully I do have a point of inspiration and a pattern that I've used before to hopefully make this skirt, and it is this skirt pattern, which I'll have to rifle through my actual pattern pieces to remind myself what this pattern even was. But this, if you remember, if you've been around for a minute, was a holiday skirt that I made last year. Please pay no mind to the fact that the lining on this is like coming out. Clearly the lining fabric and the main fabric don't really get along, but I'm gonna go ahead and try this on just to get a sense of how it's fitting. Yeah, just see if it's like the right idea. Hopefully it is, because I don't really have a backup plan. Okay. Yeah, so this is sort of the vibe, except instead of this plaid, it's gonna be this Muppet material. Cute? Do we think it's cute? I think so. I am currently trying on the skirt over a pair of leggings, but it is not wanting to zip in the back. And I do remember even last year this skirt feeling a little bit small. So I'm just gonna keep that in mind when I find the pattern pieces to try to give myself a little bit of extra ease. The orange fabric does have a little bit of stretch to it, but I don't want to rely on that. Let's go ahead and find these pattern pieces, and then I'll have a look at the instructions to see if there's any amendments that I'll need to make for this specific fabric. If you're wondering, I have no idea how to work with this fabric. I've never worked with like a costume fabric like this before that has fringe, or I've never worked with sequins, so I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm a little bit worried that I'm gonna have to hand sew much of this skirt, but we're just gonna take it one step at a time, you know? Just one step at a time. Okay, before I get too far into the actual pattern pieces and construction, I wanted to just do some small scale tests with the fabric itself to figure out, can I even like use this fabric with my machine? Do I have to hand stitch it? Am I able to do darts on it? How am I gonna add a lining to it? So let me show you the results of those preliminary tests. First thing, obviously, I tried literally just putting the fabric through my machine, and I'm happy to report that it works. It definitely doesn't love to be be backstitched through the machine, so I might just end up hand tying off all of the ends, but I definitely can put it through my machine as long as I go kind of slowly with it, use the hand crank a little bit. So that is a huge plus. It doesn't look like I'll be having to hand stitch an entire skirt together. And you can probably see here on this piece, I did try a couple of little darts because I did find the pattern that I used for the holiday skirt and it does have some darts in it. So TBD whether I'll actually use those darts in this skirt, but it looks like if I wanted to, I could theoretically put some darts in and they would be pretty inconspicuous. I was worried that it was gonna like make the fringe lay in like a weird way, but it seems okay. That pattern, for the record, is the Alley skirt by NH Patterns. I will put a link to it in the description. When I got it, I'm pretty sure it was a free pattern, or maybe you just had to sign up to her mailing list, but really good mini skirt pattern in general. Even if you're not making a Taylor Swift costume, I would recommend checking it out. And then the other test that I wanted to do with the fabric was how I might go about adding a lining to it. I didn't buy fabric specifically to use as a lining for this skirt. I was hoping to just find something in my fabric stash. I think what I'm gonna end up using is actually the same fabric that I used to line the other skirt, which is not my favorite fabric. It's this. It's actually, it feels so lovely. I totally got it in the store just because it's so soft. I think it's, I want to say like coconut. No, I'm not sure, but it's like some sort of crazy material that I never would have envisioned would turn into this. I have a lot of it. I don't use it very often because it's a little bit difficult to work with, but I think it is probably the best option that I have for lining this skirt. So I think this is going to be the lining fabric we go with. One thing that I'm not sure about yet is how I want to approach the waistband on this skirt, because the skirt pattern does have a separate piece for the waistband, but something tells me that adding a separate waistband piece in this fringe fabric is just not gonna look very good. And so I think it would be better if I can just use one main piece, or like a main piece for the front and a main piece for the back, and just use that for the skirt. I don't know, I'm still undecided on how I want to approach the waistband, but at least now that I have some preliminary questions answered for myself, I'm going to go ahead and cut out my pattern pieces. I do want to give myself quite a bit more ease than the pattern called for, basically like going a size up in the pattern just to give myself more room to play with since the other skirt came out so tight. And I also potentially want it to be longer. I feel like the other skirt came up quite short, especially in the back. So I'm not gonna follow the pattern exactly, but I'm gonna use it for the general shape of the skirt. And saying that, I might also change it a little bit so it's slightly more A-line than pencil skirt. I'm gonna have a think about it and hopefully get through cutting some fabric this evening, and then I'll probably leave the actual construction to start for tomorrow. Hello, it is now Tuesday. Really all I had time for yesterday was introing this video and cutting the fabric, partially because when I went to cut the fabric, I got so nervous and all of a sudden started panicking and like trying to rethink my whole plan. So I went on like a big Google deep dive of how to work with fringe and whether I should make a coat instead of a skirt. And ultimately I was like, girl, you just have to cut into the fabric. And fortunately I have so much extra, like more extra than I will ever know what to do with, I think. So even if this first attempt goes terribly wrong, I have plenty more fabric. So I did finally make the cut. So I think I'm gonna start today just by pinning the three pieces of the pattern together. So I have a front skirt and then two back skirts that are theoretically going to be joined with a zipper, which I was also thinking this morning. It feels like kind of a crazy decision to try to put a zipper through the middle of this fringe. We're gonna figure that out when we get to it. But anyways, I'm just gonna pin those pieces together, put it on my body, see what we're working with, and start making adjustments. I have not cut anything for a lining yet. I think once I have the pattern pieces better worked out, then I'll figure out the lining. I think this would be probably a lot easier if I had some sort of dress form or mannequin to be working on, but I don't. So we're gonna make do with what we have and the skills we have, and hope for the best. Okay, I've just pinned the skirt pieces together. It looks like it's gonna be way bigger than what I need, which is perfect because we can always alter it. I'm having some thoughts. Basically, the big thing is the more that I like touch and work with this fabric, the more I realize that like making a standard skirt with this fabric just doesn't make any sense. Like, this is costume fabric. It's like you're not meant to make like a normal garment with it. And so I was thinking, maybe instead of trying to like make a normal pencil mini skirt or A-line mini skirt, whatever, with a zipper, why am I trying to do that? Could I instead just simplify it all the way down and just make a 3-paneled skirt and add an elasticated waistline, which I kind of think makes the most sense, but then my mind goes to, well, how do we add the elastic to the waistline? Because I'm still having the issue of what do I do about a waistband, because like attaching a normal waistband with this fabric, again, doesn't really make sense. It doesn't look good to like layer the fabric on top of each other in the way that you would for a normal waistband. So then that gets me to the root of the issue of like, well, then how do I finish the edge on this fabric? Because I think at the bottom, potentially I can just cut it and leave it and it'll be fine. It's not really gonna fray, but at the top I have to do something. I'm gonna try a little test of this lining fabric as if I'm sewing it like along the top of the skirt, and then fold it right sides out and see how that looks to finish. So I feel like ironing it is not really an option, but this is what it's looking like. So maybe I would just have to trim some of these crazy bits at the top. Okay, that looks a little bit rough when I've trimmed them. But I don't really know what else to do with them if they're poking up. But otherwise, from the inside, it looks pretty good. Okay, let me talk to you properly. Okay, I think that was a somewhat successful test. I do feel like it's probably the best way to finish the top raw edge on this fabric is by just adding the lining straight on, and then the inside will be finished. This is what the top is looking like. So it's at least a closed, not a raw edge. I think I'm gonna go with this new plan, probably doing an elasticated waistband. So my vision is I'll have the main fabric and the lining fabric, and then on the waistband, I will insert a little elastic between the two of them and then just sew it down to encase it. Okay, I think I can get back to what I originally planned to work on today, which is just fitting, but I will keep in mind that if I'm gonna try to do an elasticated waistband, I don't wanna fit it completely too close because I'm gonna wanna be able to slip it on and off. Let's get back to it. My thought now is, should I just sew that back seam all the way up? I mean, theoretically, I wouldn't even really need the back seam, but I already cut the fabric and there's 2 back pieces, so they do need to be sewed together. While I tie these ends off by hand, I just thought maybe we could talk a little bit about the album and this era that I'm making this skirt for. I'm hopeful that some of you are also interested in Taylor Swift in addition to sewing. If you are, please let me know in the comments because I'm always looking for more Swiftie friends, whether they are in person or online. And yeah, I would also love to know any predictions that you have for this era. I guess by the time this video comes out, the music will be out, so I would love to know what your favorite song so far is. I am hoping that this skirt project is the first of potentially many things that I'll get to make inspired by the life of a showgirl. I am firmly hoping and believing that she's going to tour the album. I know that there's been a lot of talk about maybe she'll do a Vegas residency or something different that's not a tour, that's like still very showgirl. And I don't know, guys, I just think that she's someone who loves connecting with her fans so much, and I think it would really put her in a box if she were to do a Vegas residency, just because the venues are smaller and it's like such a different vibe, I guess. Like only some people would get to come see her. I don't think that's what she wants right now. I don't know, I could be totally wrong, but we shall see. Drop your thoughts in the comments if you are Swiftie. Okay, so I just sewed the back seam together and I'm really happy with how it looks. You basically can't tell that there's a seam there unless you look really close. That's good. I'm gonna actually properly start fitting it. How many times can I say on this day that I'm gonna start fitting the skirt before I actually do it? I don't know if you can see, I've just done some really rough pinning. It's pretty rough. And again, this would be so much easier if I had like a dress form or another person to help me. Here we are, you're on your own, kid. So I'm gonna go ahead and just sew this up, maybe baste it, and see how that looks. Okay, that felt like the most slapdash sort of situation, just like kind of painting by eye and then making a line on the fabric and then sewing a basting stitch. But honestly, I think it turned out pretty well. Can you see? So it's obviously still too long, but I think that honestly the side seams are like kind of good if I just tuck it up. Kind of like that is what I'm thinking. Yeah, next I really need to figure out the length situation. Hopefully by shortening it, it will look more like a fun showgirl costume and less like I've got a Muppet on the lower half of my body. This project is so silly. So silly. Okay, what next? What next? What next? No, this is not precise. Yes, it is stressing me out, but I think it's gonna be fine. Gosh, the absolute carnage that comes every time I make a cut on this fabric. Okay, the back definitely needs to be evened out to meet the front. I'm just always aware that I don't want things to go too short in the back, so I wanted to give myself plenty of wiggle room. But otherwise, I am happy with the general fit, and I only feel slightly like a Sesame Street character. And I think that is probably where I'm gonna leave it for today. I have a little bit more time, but I think I'm gonna leave it there for today. And tomorrow we can get into the lining and the waistband and finish hemming it potentially. And like, that's kind of it. I feel like this project is turning out to be more simple than I initially intended it to be, which I think is a good thing because I'm working with a material that is so far out of my comfort zone. I have no idea how to work with it really. So I think simple is good. All right, I will see you tomorrow. Hello, it is now Wednesday and I'm feeling really good about the progress that we made on the skirt yesterday. I feel like I made a lot of the key decisions about the actual construction and plans for the waistband and all of these things. I just want to carry that momentum forward into today and really see how much we can get done, because then Friday the album comes out and, well, it comes out at midnight on Thursday, but while I will do a lot of things for Taylor Swift, I will not be staying up past my bedtime to listen to the album. But I will listen to it first thing on Friday, and I just want Friday to be completely stress-free, like fully focused on the album and the release party. So we have to have the skirt finished tomorrow. I think the first thing I want to do is even out the back hem, because in an attempt to not cut the back too short, I definitely gave myself like a ducktail. And then get into the lining and hopefully add an elastic for the waistband. And that might be it. We'll see if there's anything else that needs to be done. I'm sure things will pop up today. Oh, I also wanted to show you, hang on. You guys, I started making friendship bracelets to bring to the release party. I only have 3 so far. Obviously, I'm gonna need to make a lot more. I have one that says Showgirl, I have one that says Shiny Bug, and then I have one that says Frightening. I've seen a lot of people making bracelets with the track titles, which totally makes sense, but I thought it would be fun to make bracelets primarily with the different variants because I thought that they were really cleverly named. Maybe I should wear these today for good luck. You guys, I'm just so excited. I'm definitely getting the Teizumis and I'm just like so excited for the music and for anything else that might be coming our way. Okay, this continues to be probably the jankiest project I've ever done. So I just hacked a bit off the bottom and tried to kind of even out the bottom of the skirt. And I think I've got it to a good spot. So I basically just traced out then on the lining fabric a rough guide of the skirt. Now I have the lining cut out as well, and I just sewed up the side seams on the lining. So now I'm going to do what I showed the other day with the lining and main fabric, basically putting them together, right sides together. And instead of doing a classic or like standard waistband, I'm just gonna fold the lining onto the inside, and that is gonna be the waistband. So as you saw, I stitched the lining to the main fabric along the top. I also did a little understitch to hopefully help the lining fabric stay on the inside and not like roll over to the outside. And this is how it's looking. I'm really happy with it. Obviously it's still quite big because I need to add an elastic for the waistband. I also need to give it a little haircut on top probably because I don't want all of these flyaways. And then I need to do the hem on the lining because at the moment the lining, I cut it generously, so I need to cut it back a little bit and hem it. I am losing steam rapidly for this afternoon. It took me a little bit longer to wrestle with the fabric when putting the lining and the main fabric together than I thought I was going to. So I think for the sake of my sanity, I'm gonna wrap it up there for today. Like I said, hopefully it's just a few finishing touches tomorrow. Ooh, and then I also ordered a pair of shoes. I ordered a pair of sparkly shoes because I really didn't have any shoes to wear with this costume. My thought is, yes, I'll be able to wear them for this event, but I could also wear them for like basically any tour or like fun, I don't know, they're just like fun sparkly sneaker type shoes. And I'm hoping that they will be wearable for a lot of fun things, not just this. I'm gonna wrap it up for the day and I will talk to you again tomorrow. Hello, we're back. It is Thursday. We've got the Eras Tour sweatshirt on to hopefully pull us across the finish line with this skirt. I can't believe that this album comes out tonight. I'm just so excited to wake up tomorrow morning, get my coffee, and listen to a new Taylor Swift album. And then get to go to the movie theater and listen to the album with a whole bunch of other fans and see the music video, all of the things. So let's finish up this skirt so that we can fully enjoy all of the excitement that this weekend has to come. I did already start by trimming the lining and doing a little rolled hem on it. Next, I'm gonna put in the elastic for the waistband. I basically just wanna put a stitch like right along here, which will make a little channel that I can then insert some elastic through. My only issue is I need to be really delicate about pulling back the fringe so that I'm not like sewing right down on top of the fringe. Fingers crossed, we can figure that out. Okay, we got the elastic in. So I was able to just sew a little channel that was essentially 1.5 inches below the top of the waistband, and it was a little bit punishing trying to figure out how to move the fringe out of the way. I had to have the lining on the bottom, the fringe on the top, and I kind of figured out this technique of like parting the fibers of the fringe so that after sewing that line of stitches, it would still lay nicely. I didn't want the stitches to like pin down any of the fringe, and it was a little bit punishing. It took me a long time. I had to go very slowly, but we did it. So now I've just pinned the elastic in the back and I'm ready to try it on. Fingers crossed it looks good because it's basically done. There's like a couple things on the inside that I could do to finish it just a little bit nicer, but it's basically done. So let's try it on. Okay, I simply had to put on the shirt because the sweatshirt skirt combo was really not selling it for me, but I feel like this is a bit better. Guys, I think I'm happy with it. I think it's the most that I could do with the time I have allotted. I also feel like it suits the movie theater vibe. I don't know, I'm like having some insecurity because I've been seeing some really cool, elaborate costumes that people have planned online, but I'm also trying to remind myself, like, hopefully there will be a time and a place for that if I want to do a really big, elaborate costume for a concert perhaps. But for going to the movie theater, I also want to be comfortable. So I don't want to go like super over the top. Anyway, I will try to get some shots at the movie theater if I can of the full fit, hopefully including some sparkly shoes. If you are seeing this and you are a Swiftie, please comment down below. Let me know what you think of the album. I would love to have more Swifties in the community here. And if you've made it this far, you will probably like my other videos, so feel free to subscribe, and I will see you again soon for another video. The skirt is on, we've got bracelets made. I'm so excited!